So, crazy concept. My coach was right and I was wrong. I, in the traditional sense, thought that I'm a unique wallflower and that I could handle way more goals than the normal person. My coach, rightfully so, was like, hey, you really want to focus on 2 to 3 goals max, so that way you can put the time into them and actually see meaningful results along the way. Shout out, Matt. I decided that the best way to interpret that was to limit it down to only 5 massive goals and to work on that. What that actually ended up meaning is that I did okay on 2 of them, abysmally on 2 of them, and then moderately functional on 1. The cool part though is, especially with having a coach, I can iterate a lot faster. So what I ended up finding out of this is there's 4 fundamental things that were issues for me when I was going through and stacking too many goals at one time. On the negative side, it ended up being guilt and shame tied with additional task switching. On what would have been the positive side is that the clarity and the motivation. What I mean by that is that for me, I had a bunch of guilt and shame when I had too many goals because I felt like I was always dropping the ball on something. And the task switching is pretty straightforward. Since I had so many things, I was constantly pivoting between, and so there's just a ton of wasted time when you're switching stuff around. On the motivation side, it was the gap thereof, which is if I'm not getting anything done in any of my goals, it's really hard to keep driving forward. And the last part is the clarity, which is while stacking 5 different things I'm working on, it was really hard to figure out what is the best thing I could focus on during a time. And even, hey, like, get invited to a thing with friends and it's like, do I have the bandwidth to be able to do this? And instead of looking at 1 or 2 things and saying, hey, yep, absolutely have the time, I'm trying to figure out 5 different things that I'm dropping the ball on. And so it ends up just being a really negative feeling for most of it. So what am I actually doing about it? What I'm going to do for the next 8 weeks is I'm going to narrow it down just to 2. And the way that I did that is trying to define what the most important thing in my life is right now. And the biggest overarching goal is I want to live a fulfilling and engaged life. And so that narrows it down to just 2. Over those next 8 weeks, the only 2 that I'm going to focus on is this channel, being able to kind of share the story along the way, and the contract sales work that I'm doing for net revenue. So that way I can really dial in on both the skill set and the lessons that I'm learning there, because I'm having a lot of fun with it and it's really engaging. The question to you would be, how often are you putting yourself in a spot where you have so many things that you're working on that you kind of feel like you're constantly dropping the ball in every area, even though you're working a ton of hours?